In the rugged heart of Butte, in Mession, Montana, where copper mines bled rust into the earth, Leo Carter was a firefighter forged in grit until a single photo torched his world. At 28, he was the steady hand at Station 12, his dark hair cropped tight, his boots scarred from blazing attics. It was a frigid March night, the wind howling through the firehouse. When disaster struck, Leo, grabbing his gear after a call, left his locker ajar. A snapshot slipping free, him kissing his boyfriend, Sam, under Flathead Lake's pines. In 30 seconds, the crew's loudest bruiser, snatched it. His Carter's a queer, a quarry booming over the clang of helmets, a spark igniting a blaze Leo couldn't douse. Butte wasn't built for men like him. The town clung to hard ways, mine whistles at dawn, church bells at dusk, a code of grit where firefighters were gods and anything soft was sin. Leo had thrived there 5 years, hauling hose through infernos, pulling kids from smoke. His move fast, a lifeline to rookies. He'd buried his truth deep. Sam, a secret stashed in Missoula, his baritone dodging, got a wife? Wait with a grunt. The crew revered him. Captain Reese barked his praise. Mike slapped his back until that photo hit the floor. Tuesday dawned, and the firehouse turned, eyes hardened, fists twitched, a brotherhood of soot and steel icing over. Butte's pulse now a fist at his throat. The shift went raw. Leo rolled in, jacket zipped, but the air shifted. Mike smirked over the engine bay. Hey, princess, sleep tight? See the crew snickering, axes slamming like gavels. By noon, the station's whiteboard screamed, Leo's a fag. The photo pinned beside it. His smile was Sam a target for jeers. Drills skipped him. Mike's I ain't hauling with a ferry, a growl as he paired with a rookie, leaving Leo's gear untouched, tires slashed by dusk. Captain Reese grunted assignments, his Carter, sit it out clip, gaze averted as the team sneered, soft spots staying safe. Known Leo stood by the rig, fists tight, his I can fight drowned by hoots. The firehouse a bunker where he'd lost rank overnight. Home cut deeper still. Leo called his dad, Frank Kiyawar Sorntum, a retired firefighter in Helena. They know, Dad, and got stone. You've shamed every man I ran with. The line died, Frank's snarl echoing their old man's, toughen up. Ahwadawar, no mom left to ease it. Butte's mines loomed outside, the crew's hate seeping in, and Leo gripped his helmet. 5 years of valor now, Ash. He wasn't just a firefighter, he was the outcast. A gay man marked in a town that worshipped heroes who didn't bend. This wasn't a rough shift. It was a war he'd never signed up for. If that gut punch hooked you, smash like, share it with someone who's felt the heat, and subscribe to Heart Stories. Leo's battle's just begun. Leo Carter's Tuesday at Butte Station 12 turned to ash faster than a wind-whipped brush fire. The photo of him kissing Sam, snapped under Flathead's pines, blasting through the firehouse like a siren's wail. By morning, the crew room was a furnace. Mike's Carter's a fag. They still ringing as Leo rolled in, his boots heavy on the concrete. The rig bay, once his kingdom of hoses and grit, now pulsed with glares. Firefighters he'd pulled from flames turning away, their axes clanging as they shuffled past. Mike, was all bulk and venom, leaned in. His thought you were tough. Princess, a snarl that scorched the air. The team erupting in jeers, sharp, bitter, a brotherhood of soot unraveling as Butte's mines loomed dark outside. The onslaught roared to life. By noon, the station's slack buzzed. Queer's a soft spot, the photo pinned to the corkboard. Sam's smile a bullseye for spitballs and sneers. Drills went feral. Mike's I ain't running with a ferry, a growl as he yanked a rookie to his side, leaving Leo's gear untouched. His truck trashed by dusk, red paint screaming fag across the hood. Tires slashed to ribbons. Captain Reese barked calls. His Carter, you're out, gruff as he dodged Leo's gaze. The crew smirking. Weak links benched. Leo stood by the engine, fist balled, his I'm still here drowned by hoots. The firehouse a gauntlet where trust burned to cinders. The betrayal cut deeper. Wednesday's training was a slaughter. Leo's hose rig sabotaged. Water blasting wild as Mike roared. Can't even hold it straight. The squad howling, boots stomping, his helmet kicked across the bay. In the locker room, gear vanished, gloves torn, mask cracked, notes scrawled, get out. Queer on his bunk, ink bleeding like the respect he'd lost. Lunch turned cold. The mess hall emptied as he sat. Coffee stale. Mike's, you're a liability, a hiss over clanging trays. A wall of turnout coats shutting him out. Station 12 wasn't a crew now. It was a pack. And Leo was the runt, a gay firefighter choking in a den that prized steel over soul. The town piled on. Thursday, Butte's church rallied, 24 outside the firehouse. Signs high, no gays in our heroes. Ere their chants a drumbeat through the brick. Pastor Dan's "Sin's got no place in our brave," booming over megaphones. Locals join. Miners Leo'd save spitting freak. As they passed, kids he'd waved to hurling rocks at his rig. The Butte miner ran it. Gay firefighter sparks fury. A shot of Leo. Head down. Paint dripping. The story warped. Crew demands ouster. Calls flooded. Captains, we're under fire. Carter, icy. His desk a barricade. Leo's name a curse in a town that worshipped its saviors. Family drove the stake through. That night, Leo dialed Frank. His dad's growl a lifeline he craved. They're ditching me, Dad. But Frank's "you've shamed every call I ever ran" was a gut punch. His "you're dead to me" a slam before the click. No mom's grave to soften it. Leo sank to his porch. The Montana cold biting. His phone dark. Frank's snarl a ghost of "man up." Blood ties torched like his truck. Butte's minds stared back. The crew's hate a shroud. And Leo gripped his badge. 5 years of fire, now dust. He was a firefighter unmade. A gay man cast out. The scorn ablaze he couldn't quench. Leo Carter's world collapsed under Butte's bruising sky. The firehouse's "fag out" still searing his ears as he hauled his slashed gear from Station 12. Captain Reese's "you're suspended till this blows over" a cold axe through his spine. The Montana mines loomed like gravestones as he stumbled to his apartment. The photo of him and Sam, Flathead's pines framing their kiss. A coal he couldn't touch. Jobless. He sank to the couch. Paint from his truck, fag, crusting his boots. 5 years of hauling hose through hell, torched by a crew that saw him as rot. At 28, Leo was a husk. His badge a relic. Butte's grit now a noose he couldn't slip. Days bled into a haze. Leo's buzz cut grew wild. His eyes sunken. The apartment a wreck of beer cans and ash. The crew's soft spot looping in his skull. He scrolled Butte's online chatter, hundreds of posts. Fire the queer. He's a disgrace. Arena each a nail in his chest. Lies of weak and risk, branding him a failure he'd never been. His radio sat dead, no calls, no drills, the firehouse a ghost he couldn't reach. He'd lost his beat, smashing through flames. Saving lives, and now his soul, a firefighter unmade. Wondering if he'd ever pull on turnout gear again. The weight of doubt a smoke he couldn't clear. The town turned vicious. Wednesday's Butte miner ran it. Gay firefighter ousted amid uproar. A grainy shot of Leo, head down, paint dripping. The story twisted. Locals fear for safety. The calls flooded. Neighbors. Miners, quit, freak. His voicemail a pit of venom. The church's "no gays in our heroes" rally replayed on TV. Signs high. Faces he'd saved snarling. Friday, a dozen stood outside his building. Get out! Rocks pinging his window. Kids he'd taught fire safety to now jeering. Leo paced, hands trembling. The minds beyond a void he couldn't unsee. Leave? Quit? End it. A whisper he fought with ragged breaths. His spirit buckling under a hate he hadn't earned. Family was a wound unhealed. Leo texted Frank one last time. I'm still your son, Dad. But his dad's "you killed my legacy" was a blade. The ex-firefighter's silence, a crypt where "toughen up" echoed. No mom's ash to soften it. He sank to the floor. The hardwood cold. His sobs a howl in the dark. Butte's scorn. Frank's curse. Na de bush one. A bloodline severed. The crew's weak and the town's out. Harassment played on. A gay man forsaken. His badge a ghost of a life he'd lost. The weight of despair clawing. Maybe he was the flaw. The ember that didn't belong. Then came Tara. Saturday dusk. The crew's lone female firefighter knocked. Her Leo. Open up! Sharp through the door. Her freckled face cutting through his mess with a thermos of coffee. He shuffled out. A wreck. But she sat firm. Her "you're the best damn smoke eater I've seen. Don't let him snuff you a jolt." Mike's a prick. But you've got fire. Use it. Eeny, she said, dropping a flyer. Butte Volunteer Rescue. A gig off the books. Lead 'em. Show 'em. Leo clutched the paper, its edges curling, a spark flickering, hope, faint but alive. The church's chant still thundered. Frank's dead to me still stabbed. But Tara's you've got fire stuck, a tether in the ash. He'd hit bottom, crew gone, town against him. But maybe, just maybe, he could rise. Leo Carter slumped against his Butte apartment wall, the Montana wind rattling the cracked window. Tara's flyer, Butte Volunteer Rescue, crumpled in his fist. The firehouse's soft spot, a ghost clawing his skull. Suspended, shunned. He was a shell at 28. Badge tarnished, crew lost. The week since Sam's photo leaked a sledgehammer to his gut. The TV flickered off, but Mike's fag. In Butte's No Gays in Our Heroes. A blaze of hate scorching his 5 years of grit. Tara's You've Got Fire lingered, a faint ember in the ash. And Leo faced a mirror he'd dodged too long. Who was he? A firefighter. A man. A gay outcast in a world that wanted him snuffed. Memory hit like a backdraft. 19. Beauty's outskirts. Leo tugging a kid from a trailer blaze. Flames licking his boots. His pulse racing as Frank, his dad, clapped his shoulder. That's my boy. But it flashed darker. 16. Stealing glances at Cody. A ranch hand with calloused hands. Their brush in the barn, a spark he'd buried fast. Frank caught wind. No, Carter's a queer. His fist bruising Leo's jaw. His toughen up a chain as Cody faded. A love turned rot. The fire academy followed. Leo muscled through. Yes, sir. Raid loud. Locking the gay kid under soot and steel. Station 12 was his redemption. Charging infernos. Saving lives. Sam, his hidden glow in Missoula. A vow he'd kept from Frank's glare. But Mike's sneer tore it wide. The man he'd caged roaring free. Demanding air in a town that choked him. He paced the hardwood. The flyer, a lifeline he gripped. Wind howling like Butte's scorn outside. Society loomed, church signs. No gays in our heroes. A firehouse that saw him as ash. Miners he'd pulled from wrecks spitting, freak! Showed him, the miners' uproar burned in his mind. Headlines twisting him into a hazard. A gay firefighter marked in a land of tough. He'd played their game, grunted at locker room jabs. Dodged, got a girl? But Sam's photo ripped the mask off. And Leo saw it raw. He'd been running from himself. A coward bending to their mold. Tara's Show-em stared back. Volunteer rescue, a shot to lead, and his chest tightened. A war blazing, quit, flee Butte, on Simmershorn or fight, risk all for the man he'd buried? The weight grew, Frank's dead to me, the crew's jeers, but Cody's grin flashed. Sam's you're enough glowed, a truth no fist could douse. He sank to the couch, flyer smoothing under his fingers, breath jagged as he traced the ink. Society wanted him gone, Butte's chance, firehouse silence. But he wasn't the flaw, their hate was. Tara's best smoke eater echoed, and Sam texted, "You're my fire." Leo, his words a spark through the dark. He grabbed his badge, hands steady, the Academy's oath, save lives and still in his bones. A gay man who'd prove his steel. Butte loomed, Mike's fists, the town's rage, but Leo had an ember, a truth he'd wield, a firefighter unbroken by their chains. Leo Carter strode into Butte Station 12 under a bruised April dawn, his badge clipped tight. Tara's flyer, Butte Volunteer Rescue, folded in his pocket, the oath to save lives of fire in his gut. 2 weeks of exile had forged him, Mike's fag. And the town's no gays in our heroes. He had a lash he'd borne, but Sam's you're enough, and Tara's Show-em lit a blaze he wouldn't quench. Today, suspension lifted. He faced the crew room, a briefing on a looming factory blaze, his jaw set, ready to end the lies. Captain Reese barked, "Carter, you're back, sit." But Leo stood, voice cutting sharp. "I've got words," and the air snapped, a flare igniting as he torched the silence. "I'm gay," Leo said, steady as steel, the words a grenade in Butte's brick bunker. "Been with Sam 5 years, my man. I'm a damn good firefighter, 5 years. Lives the saved, fires killed. You've trashed me for it, weak, soft, done. I'm here. I'm queer. Face it." The room exploded. Mike lunged. "You fucking disgrace!" His fist slamming Leo's locker, coffee splashing, the crew roaring, half shock, half fury. Captain Reese shot up. "This ain't a pride march. Carter." his snarl rattling the walls. Badge glinting as he jabbed, "You're sinking us!" Leo held ground. "I'm sinking nothing, your hate is." His eyes locked. A firefighter unbulled in a den that bared its fangs. The clash turned savage. Mike ripped Leo's turnout coat. "You don't wear this!" Hurling it to the floor. The thud a gunshot as the squad jeered. "Ferry's out!" "Get lost!" Boots stomped. Fists clenched. Jake, a burly vet, shoved Leo. "Hope we don't need queers!" His growl a blade. The team surging. A pack unleashed. Drills flew, Leo's helmet smashed. Gloves shredded, Mike's "can't trust a fag." Core, a chant they echoed. Axes banging. The firehouse a war zone. Leo stood, chest heaving. "I've dragged you from flames, judge that." His roar drowned by soft spot. "Ain and go." A mob he'd once called kin now wolves at his neck. A crack split the chaos. Tara, wiry and fierce, banged a wrench. "He's worth 10 of you." Her shout a lifeline. "A rookie?" "Bet." Nodding. "He's solid, hear him out." Two others, quiet vets, shifted, eyes flicking. But Mike charged. "Shut it, bitch." His fist grazing Leo's jaw. Blood trickling as Reese barked, "Enough. Carter, out now." Leo grabbed his badge. "I'm not the hazard, you are." His voice iron. The door slamming a death knell on 5 years' trust. The crew room seethed. Mike's glare a vow. Reese's silence a guillotine. Leo's stand a spark in a tinderbox. The fallout hit hard. Butte miner screamed, "Gay firefighter sparks riot." Photos of Leo, bruised, badge in hand. The story warped. Crew clashes over outcast. Calls flooded. Reese's voicemail, "You're on the edge. One slip. You're gone." Mike's text, "Dead to us." Online. Locals rage, "Fire him!" Or "He's a risk." Trolls spitting, "Queer's finished." Tara's "You've got fire" held him. Sam's "Proud of you" a balm. But Frank's call twisted deeper. "Saw the news, you're no son." His growl a final cut. Leo sank to his porch, wind biting, blood on his lip. Butte's hate a storm he'd faced alone. He'd lost the crew, risked all, but gained a truth he wouldn't bury. A firefighter who'd fight. Damn the flames. Leo Carter gripped his helmet under Butte's smoke-choked dusk. The Montana sky bleeding red as sirens wailed. A chemical plant on the town's edge erupting in a hellfire of gas and steel. Days after his firehouse showdown, Mike's fist. "Fags out." He'd clung to Tara's "show 'em." Kirby joining Butte Volunteer Rescue. His suspension a chain he'd snapped. At 28, he was bruised but unyielding. Sam's "Proud of you" aflame in his chest. That night, the call crackled, tanks ruptured, workers trapped, flames roaring, Station 12 faltered. But Leo charged in, a gay firefighter ready to fight. Damn the scorn. His grit a torch for lives hanging by threads. He hit the plant alone, truck lights slashing the haze, acrid smoke stinging as he breached the gate. 6 workers pinned by a collapsed silo, fire licking steel beams. A blast looming. Radio static buzzed Mike's "Stay back, princess." Ira sneer through the roar. But Leo moved, axis steady, his voice booming. "Hold on, I've got you." The flames surged. Metal groaned, he dove, hacking a path, hauling a man clear as sparks rained, his gloves scorching. 2 saved, the crew lagging behind. "Captain Reese's, wait for us." It crackled faint, but Leo pressed on. 3 down, blood streaking his arm. The inferno a beast he'd tame solo. The tide turned deadly. Thunder rumbled, a second tank hissed. Pressure spiking, Station 12 rolled in late. Mike's queers playing hero, barking over comms as he charged reckless, axe swinging. A beam snapped, Mike stumbled, pinned under steel. Flames closing, his "Help!" The Uinimart, a choke through the smoke. The crew froze, Jake's "He's done." But Leo ran, boots pounding, heat clawing. A wall of fire between him and the man who'd scorned him. He wedged the beam, embers searing. His "Stay alive," too sharp as he dragged Mike free. The tanks hissed, deafening. Leo's breath ragged, 4 workers out, a crewman spared, the plant buckling under its own fury. Butte watched, awestruck. Workers, miners, clerks clung to Leo's lead. There, "He's got guts." A murmur through the haze as he radioed. "Evac now, blast's coming." His voice a lifeline, the town's heart pounding. Mike groaned, Why'd you cut by Leo's? Shut it. I'm a firefighter. So soot mixing with sweat, his steel shining where Mike's cracked. The crew trailed. Tara rushed in. Leo's right. But Reese barked. Pull back. Too late. A tank blew. Fireballs roaring. A trap. Leo wouldn't flee. He shoved Mike to Tara. Get him out! His eyes locked on the last worker, a shadow in the blaze. A fight he'd finish alone. Home flickered. Frank's radio crackled in Helena. Butte's feed live. Carter's in there. His growl silent. A pang of pride as Leo's name hit the waves. Sam called, voice breaking. Come home. Landmau. Worded, but static swallowed it. The inferno a wall Leo couldn't hear past. Butte's minds loomed. The crew's weak a lie he'd smashed. Mike's weight on his back. Workers safe. A gay firefighter standing where straight men balked. He turned, axe raised, the blast roar surging, his badge aglow in the dark. A hero blazing a path no hate could quench. Proving fire knew no labels. Summer draped Butte in a golden haze. The Montana mines glinting as Leo Carter stood firm. The chemical plant blaze a badge of ash he'd earned. His hands scarred, his spirit unbroken. Weeks after that inferno, pulling Mike from flames, defying Station 12's scorn, Leo wasn't the pariah anymore. The firehouse didn't kneel, but it cracked. Mike's "You're all right" muttered over a rig check. Tara's "Knew you had it" a nod by the hose rack. Butte's minor shifted. Firefighters grit silences critics. A shot of Leo, axe in hand, a dent in the town's iron walls. He didn't reclaim his old rank, but he'd forged a place. A gay man proving valor burned brighter than hate. The crew thawed, jagged but real. Volunteer rescue swelled, 15 locals drilling under Leo. His stay sharp, a steady beat as they hauled lines. Mike lingering, his "didn't think you'd pull me" gruff but honest. Station 12 eased. Captain Reese's "gear up." Carter clipped, drills sinking, a grunt replacing jeers. Butte's folks softened, miners he'd saved buying him beers. A kid asking, "You're the gay firefighter?" Leo's, "Yeah, and I fight fires," a spark that stuck. The church didn't sway, prayers droned, but the rallies faded. A deacon shrugging, he's one of ours." Oh, Leo's truth rippled, not a flood, but a current shifting stone in a town carved hard. Home mended, slow and rough. Frank showed up dusk lit, his truck idling, his "saw you on the news" hoarse as he tossed Leo a faded photo. Frank and Leo, post-fire, years back. "You're tougher than me," he rasped. No embrace, heat-or-eyed mountowards, but his eyes held, a thaw in the man who'd cut him off. Sam drove in, his "You're my fire" warm over coffee. Frank's silence a nod, a stitch in a frayed bond. Leo breathed, the mind's aglow. The crew's weak a lie he'd doused, home aground he could claim. He'd lost trust, taken blows, but won a piece of himself no scorn could snuff. Leo didn't conquer Butte, just pierced it. Rescue hummed, a testament, not a triumph. His scars a lesson, courage didn't bow to labels. It blazed through. He led on, teaching kids gear and guts, his voice clear, proving fire cared for deeds, not who you loved. This wasn't a win, it was a stand. A gay firefighter's mark on a town that flinched. Butte's dusk settled, and Leo stood, scars lit, a path carved where hate once ruled. This is Leo's fight, raw, scarred, true. What would you burn for to stand tall? Share below, it's your fire. If his spark hit you, smash like, share with someone who'd blaze. Subscribe to Heart Stories, more truths ignite next.